This is Cruise Control.
Your on-air automotive magazine with co-hosts Fred Staub and Les Jackson. Everything you need to know about new and used cars. Industry news. We'll fix or repair your car on the air. Fasten your seatbelts and let us take the wheel. Now, your ride is about to begin. Because you're on Cruise Control. Cruise Control. Cruise Control.
And welcome everyone. This is Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. And as you know, because you watch us and listen to us every single week, I'm Les Jackson. The other guy is Fred Staub, and he is sitting there almost chomping at the bit to talk about Cadillac's new affordable EV. So
yeah,
we were questioning what affordable means. We should ask our listeners.
Yeah, this is called the Optique, and it's their kind of entry-level EV, affordable. It's somewhere around $50,000, and it is not not necessarily affordable, but that's what they're calling it, and that's kind of sad if that's what affordable means, right?
Well, I guess affordable for a Cadillac.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Kia starting building the EV9 crossover in the U.S. Cool.
Yeah, and of course, building it in the U.S. means it will be fully able to get that $7,500 rebate. So that is
a big deal.
That is a big deal if you're going out to buy a big vehicle like that, right?
Absolutely. That's a decision maker.
Yeah. And you have a story on Toyota and Subaru and Mazda, right?
Toyota, Subaru, and Mazda team up on biofueled engines. Now, Toyota and Subaru already are teamed up. But biofueled engines, I'm hearing more and more and more about that from a lot of the government agency people and the environmentalist organizations around here. We're back to that. I think it's got some promise.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about synthetic fuels, hydrogen, methane, a whole bunch of other options being investigated. We'll kind of take you through all of them, what it means. And then, interesting study, the average age of U.S. cars and trucks continues to increase. Have you kept your vehicle longer than you thought you would? Well, we'll ask you, and we'll check this. Yes to both of us.
So have you.
Yes.
Maybe it's because of that affordable price thing. But anyway, Kenworth, big Kenworth.
Yeah.
They look into its future with the Super Truck 2. This thing is, this is right out of Popular Mechanics when I was a kid. Just wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is got a diesel electric powertrain, a hybrid powertrain. So we'll talk about that and a whole lot more when we come back on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staub. He's Les Jackson. We will be right back. We're just getting started, so stay tuned.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staub and Les Jackson. In this segment, we will define affordable, at least affordable as it relates to the Cadillac Optique. Cadillac Optique is a, brand new vehicle just revealed by Cadillac. It's an entry point vehicle for the next generation of EV buyers. Has an estimated range of about 300 miles. Standard dual motor all-wheel drive. Standard Super Cruise, which is their semi self-driving scenario.
Right.
Yeah. And, okay, it is a crossover, small crossover, and was revealed this week. Instantaneous torque, 300 horsepower, 354 pound-feet of torque. Regen on demand, one-pedal driving, all the usual suspects when it comes to being a electric vehicle. And, black crystal grille, roof encompassing glasswork, signature lighting, choreography, all that and more. A segment best in cargo capacity, 33-inch diagonal advanced LED display, a whole bunch of things like this. But what is the entry-level price? Well, the entry-level estimated price is $54,000. What do you think of that, Les?
Well, okay. It sounds fairly decent for a luxury electric vehicle, but it doesn't sound. I don't call that affordable. The average household income in this country is in the high 70,000s. So you're looking at a car that costs 3/4 of your yearly income. When I think of affordable, I think of the average American.
Okay.
So, okay, yes, you do get the 7,500 off. So, now you're down below the average transaction price of 47,000 for people buying. So it's not so bad.
Do you though get it on this vehicle? Because it probably has LG batteries, doesn't it? That's what makes the Optima battery. Optima. That's, I believe, a car battery. The batteries that GM is using, Ultium. So, was this vehicle designed before the pullback from electric vehicles? Will they make money on it? Is a good question, right?
That's a good question. I don't know. I suspect it'll be what they like to call a slow roll-off. I don't think people are going to be running to the dealers. But I've been known to be wrong.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, perfectly good vehicle.
Sure it is.
Is it exciting enough, I wonder? And I'd like to ask our listeners that, because we have some pictures up on our Facebook page. Is it different enough to say, hey, wow, this is a Cadillac, look at how unique this is? I think of vehicles like the Ioniq 6 and others that really look different. This looks like it could be gas powered, if you didn't know,
It does, and I will give a description of the vehicle, and you can tell me where the description comes from. My Optique's bold design leverages the Cadillac standard for luxury while remaining youthful, sporty, and innovative.
Yeah. All right. Well.
So you're saying I didn't write that?
No, you probably did not write that. I'll go with that. I'm not so sure I like the quad tail lights in the back too. There's two levels of lights, some up on the back pillar and then some down where you would normally find them. I don't know. I think it looks like a lot of other vehicles. I'm sure it's a great vehicle.
Yeah.
But
you can only do so much with an SUV, but You're right. It looks. I wouldn't if I didn't see the logo. I couldn't tell you what manufacturer it is.
Right. It kind of could be anybody. Um, but I will reserve the right to drive it and do a full at the
Yep.
wheel review. It doesn't production of the Optique does not begin until late this fall. But I look forward to trying it. Has an 8 kg sound system with custom tuned speakers. That's what we go for here, custom tuned speakers,
Yeah.
right? Right, Les?
Custom tune.
Yeah, all right.
Absolutely.
We're-
These this.
We're going to do some custom tuning and come back to you on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. We're going to shift gears. Well, we didn't have gears in the Cadillac EV, but neither do we have them in the Kia EV9. But we're shifting subjects to Kia because this week they started assembly in Georgia at
Yes.
their plant of the EV9 all electric, and that's exciting. Yeah, it's exciting for the factory and for the workers there.
200 new jobs.
Yep. This means, and it's not just the jobs there, it's the jobs in all of the ancillary companies that surround the plant.
Yeah, they all have to be about 20 miles away from the plant.
Oh,
And
there's no way to handle the just-in-time inventory
yep,
without being able to just throw it in a truck and get it over
get
there.
it over there. Like, hey, we're building another round in the afternoon. Like, okay,
Yep.
those stampings will be at your door in the next 10 minutes. It's sort of like seamless for sheet metal. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, exactly.
But this is big news. Obviously, depending on where all the parts and pieces come from, it being built in the U.S. helps the situation if you want to get that $7,500 tax break, right?
That's right. That's right. Um, and it got North American Utility Vehicle of the Year. That's pretty hefty.
But you look at the design of the EV9, it stands out. It's modern looking. It's different.
It looks contemporary. Yes.
Yes, it looks futuristic. Basically, it's even
Yeah.
beyond contemporary. It stands out. You know what it is. It's going down the road. Oh, that's an EV9, and of course they brought out the EV3 that looks like a miniature version of this. So that's going to be a signature style. And it kind of takes that angular, flat side type look that you have coined as the Range Rover look, and takes it to the next step. Kia always does a great job with interiors, and
Always.
no exception with the EV9. It's just
Just to give a perspective here, the plant is in West Point, Georgia. It's 2,200 acres.
yes.
That is a big facility.
I was there actually to watch some of the stamping and that, which is amazing. If you've never seen stamping done, the whole building shakes when the press
It's
comes down,
remarkable.
and then out comes a new piece, and it is pretty amazing. And you're right, people had to drive bicycles around to get from one end to the other. And it had on the assembly line, they had what looked like vinyl wood flooring. I remember that. I guess it was softer to stand on, but for a large plant, it was almost kind of laid back. I mean, everyone was working, but
Well, but
parts and pieces
that's
would come
efficient.
in a
Yeah.
big bin. It's like, okay,
It's
well. It's interesting. Congratulations to Kia for building that in Georgia, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
And every one of those is put together, and every one of them drives out on its own without having to be fixed.
Hey, I have a question
Um,
for you. So you're building electric cars and you're going to drive it off the line. Do they quick charge it at the end?
oh,
Like
I think like the batteries in your leaf blower when you buy it in the box. I think they're partially charged. So that they've got, I don't know, 50 miles on them or so, but then they must take them to some base at the plant to charge them up.
yeah, because obviously you think about it, it's got to be charged so they can jockey it around out in the
Right.
storage lot and get it on the truck and everything else, right?
Exactly. And federal law is you have to have a full tank of gas for gas powered. So I'm sure they have to be 80% charged, something like that.
It's funny, on some of the first electric vehicles, the Monroney, the window sticker would still say a full tank of gas, which I thought they gave you a
Okay.
5-gallon jug that's filled up, and here, in case you
Well,
can
that's
use this,
that's for your lawnmower.
that's for your lawnmower, yeah.
Yeah.
But that has changed now, I've noticed recently, for a full charge, a full
Yeah.
vehicle charge. I just found it funny. It's just like, here you go, or a gas
Yep.
tank taken from another vehicle that's filled up. It's like, okay, it's kind of hard to lift, when it's full. But cool stuff for Kia.
It
Let's
is.
let's
is.
move over to a story about Toyota, Subaru, and Mazda, and they are teaming up for what looks to be a very interesting partnership when it comes to alternative fuels, right?
That is true. And I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about alternative fuels, synthetic fuels, that kind of thing. Mostly ethanols, that kind of fuel. Although used frying oil is staging a big comeback.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, I think it's great, frankly, when these companies join together
Yes.
to solve a specific problem. It's just, it's the way things ought to be. Um,
Toyota's chief executive said the engines will be optimized for the electrification era. And it's interesting that Mazda is going to power the rotary engine with alternative fuels, and Subaru is going to use their boxer engine with alternative fuels. Toyota, of course, sticks more with the traditional reciprocating engine. But I think people at some point have kind of poo-pooed hydrogen and other fuels, but it seems to be changing, doesn't it?
well, yeah. It's just um, there's nothing off the table anymore, which is just great because, and I'm sure that all the manufacturers, have a dictate inside that check everything out, that
Yeah.
we might come up on something. I'm surprised a little bit that Mazda wants to use the rotary engine um, in the EVs, although the rotary is a really good constant speed engine.
And it's small. It can be. It's high
It's
power
very
density.
small.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And of course, the big problem with the rotary engine, they had a hard time meeting emission standards with it. But
right.
if you go to a cleaner fuel, that should clear that up, and clean it up. uh,
That's exactly right. Just for fun, let me just break my arm here and
yeah,
show the people watching us how small a rotary engine is. This is the rotor in a 220 horsepower Mazda rotary engine. This is it.
you think
It's
of
got a
the
little.
engine around that, it could be put in the trunk of a vehicle, and
Yeah,
base. It's almost like about the size of a car battery, isn't it? Roughly.
it's not much larger, and I think it's a great engine to do resto mods in classic vehicles, especially small ones.
Yeah. Well, if you remember the RX-8 that had rotary power, the last
Yep.
rotary powered, actually rotary powered engine, the engine itself was almost under the firewall. It was so low and
It
set
was.
back. And
Yeah.
hey, we all know what happens. You put the weight down low, it's going to handle a lot better, and that's people try to do that. And there's no oil pan to scrape when you put it down low on a rotary engine. So
Exactly. I found that to be the best balanced car around the racetracks that we used to drive every year.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, Terrific.
Well, more talk about biofuels when we come back on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staub and Les Jackson. We were just discussing Toyota, Subaru, and Mazda announcing a biofuel engine consortium to get together and look at using these things for everything from trains to planes to reducing emissions in cars. As we told you, Subaru is sticking with its Boxer. They love the Boxer engine. And Mazda loves the rotary engine. We've heard probably that's been an enduring topic on Cruise Control. When will the rotary engine come back? For quite some time. We saw it come back as a range extender for a little bit in their electric vehicle, but they are still in love with it, and it will probably show up once again, maybe powered by hydrogen, maybe powered by methane. Who knows? The other thing is, too, Les, I am not someone that says the oil industry has to be destroyed. So the fact that they could distribute biofuels or manufacture biofuels would be a good area for them to move into, right?
Well, it's a terrific area, and right now the oil industry, as far as I know, other than in their laboratories, isn't really looking heavily into biofuels, which surprises me. Most corporations and industries are always looking for the next technology, but the fossil fuel industry doesn't seem to be. I don't know if it's interested in it or whether they're just they know when the end is, but that's about it. They might be like the steel industry was in the U.S. in the 50s. They knew when the end was going to be, and
they just said,
sure
let it
enough,
end.
They let it end.
Yeah. Well, I just think that all these things should be investigated. I believe that would be great for fossil fuel people, because they have what potentially could become the distribution system for these fuels. They got to believe. I know. Didn't Shell have hydrogen fueling stations? I guess
they did. They did when the Honda Clarity came out in the early 2000s here in D.C. There's a Shell station on East Capitol Street in D.C. had hydrogen fueling, and I went over there as part of a press event and fueled up. Drove the thing. It was great. It was a nice car.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll have to see what happens. Maybe there, as I said, because all the talk has been electric only. Maybe they feel that if these other alternative fuels are not being supported by the government, that maybe that they're afraid to invest in them. That they'll be investing and they won't have cars to use them, or vehicles to use them. But this is the next revolution, basically. The first early adopters have bought the electric vehicles. Now we're going into this stage of kind of backtracking a little bit and going to hybrids and things like that, plug-in hybrids. But I do think we will see other biofuels come up, and I think they're great for trucks, for refueling, quick refueling. Think of it. Once the industry turns to the technology, increasing the technology of these things and range and storage options and things like that, it's going to get better. It's definitely going to get better. So
it will, and there are things that nobody's thought of yet.
Yeah,
well, there's always something out there.
Look at how well the electric vehicles have improved since they started with faster
Quickly,
charging
too.
Yeah, and more improvement will come there. So we're going to keep you up to date on all of it at Cruise Control as much as we can. But in the meanwhile, let's take a look at a study from S&P Global Mobility. The average age of cars and trucks in the U.S. has risen to 12.6 years old in 2024, up 2 months over 2023. This is a trend that has been going on for the last 6 years, and it was exacerbated by new vehicle inventories taking a hit during the pandemic, and then after that for the supply chain issue era, right?
Yep, and used vehicles being priced as high as the new vehicles,
or more
so
in some
just
cases.
Stop by or more. That this contrasts. I mean, you talk about staggering difference. In the mid '60s, the average new car was owned by the first owners for 27 months. That was it.
Wow.
You would trade it in before, if you had 36-month payments, which they almost always were. You would trade it in before the end of the payments. 2,700 months. Now the engines were only good for about 100,000 miles, and they rusted, and it was a different era. But wow.
You mean so trade it in before those rocker panels start rotting away,
Yes,
and the engine starts having an issue? Yeah, and it's changed, but I guess it's changed pretty significantly. If I have a graph here, like for example, cars back in 2012, they were about 11.2 years old on average. Now they're about 14 years old. And then for light trucks were about 11 back in 2012, and now they're about 11.9. But has the auto industry engineered itself out of sales? I mean, they work. They just keep going.
It's
if you do a little maintenance, oil changes and stuff.
I think they didn't want to, but the cars have become so good. My car, Rusty McMazda, is 15 now.
Yeah.
And your Vibe,
2023,
is older than that.
2003. Yeah. And
That's right.
it keeps going fine. I was driving it the other day. There's no issue with it. It's fine. Of course, it's a Toyota Corolla underneath the Vibe, and it just lasts. You keep changing the oil and driving it, replacing things that need to be replaced.
Minimal, timely maintenance.
Yeah.
They'll run and run and run.
Yeah. But obviously, there are benefits of buying a new vehicle, the increased safety, as far as braking, emergency braking, all that type of thing. So, but then again, the price has gone up dramatically on those vehicles. So, when we talked earlier about the $54,000 affordable entry-level car, that's that could be why people are holding on to things, right?
Well, I think so. I think people are just holding on because they want to get more miles out of what they've got. And I think that the whole American personality thing of always wanting something new, those days are going away.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, for cars, anyway. Everything else is...
I think so.
Changed a bit.
And some people are just delaying driving, learning how to drive, new drivers.
Right.
So, yeah. Hey, interesting. This is something we've talked about, and hybrid sales are through the roof at Ford. One of their most popular models is the Ford Maverick, and there's always been the question, you build this great hybrid, but it's only front-wheel drive. Are you ever going to build an all-wheel drive hybrid? And people get asked this. They ask us it a lot, and we wonder it too, because it seems like a no-brainer for Ford to do that. Well, there have been some spy shots now of what appears to be an all-wheel drive hybrid Maverick. Now, it has some It has the hybrid nameplate on the rear gate, and you can see it's all-wheel drive underneath the vehicle. So it's unclear whether this is just some kind of test vehicle or if it really is a hybrid all-wheel drive vehicle. My feeling is they're going to do this because I mean, Jim Farley, the CEO, has talked about this and knows that people want it, and certainly it's one of their best-selling vehicles. So it seems like a no-brainer. Don't you think we'll see this?
I think so. I think that they've just been they've decided to go ahead and turn on the switch and start building these. And they're going about it slowly.
Yep.
Because they want to get it right. There's nothing worse than rushing these things out.
Yep, that's true. Well, we will talk more about that and more on Cruise Control when we come back.
Control.
Welcome back to Cruise Control. Fred and I, we've been waiting to talk about this truck.
Yeah, you like Class 8
because-
trucks, don't you? They're pretty
Well,
cool.
I'm generally not a big truck person, but I have to say, this thing, the Kenilworth, with their Super Truck 2, this is just, I want to drive this thing.
Yeah, it almost looks like the Future Liner, doesn't it, from way back when?
Yep. Or the high speed trains up and down the East Coast.
Oh yeah. It
Which I have driven. Yeah.
well, that's pretty cool. The driver sits in the center. People say, well, it looks like the Tesla truck. Well, there's some big differences. It's built by Kenworth, who knows a thing or two about building trucks and getting them delivered to fleets. It has a large sleeper area with desk and dinette and fold-down bed, which truckers like and need. Something that they like very much. Totally aerodynamic. I mean, trucks these days, even the older models have gotten a lot more aerodynamic, but typically they were not a very aerodynamic vehicle. I mean, everything's covered on it. The wheels are covered, the front wheels, the rear wheels, and it sort of has the look of a Kenworth, but imagine if you tilted the fenders radically up at the back. It has electronic mirrors, which I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of.
Yep.
It's interesting. The mirrors look like side view mirrors, but they're inside. They're monitors, thin monitors. It is a single driver. The frame rails narrow down at the front of the vehicle. They feel that it can increase mileage on a big truck. Remember, they tow 80,000 pounds. It can increase that to 13 miles per gallon. And I think they average about 6 or 7 right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've read for many years they average about 6 to 7 miles to the gallon, and that's driving it carefully.
Yes, exactly. And here's the kicker about this. The powertrain has available components. So it has a PACCAR MX-11 diesel, with a mild hybrid system, and the PACCAR TX12 automatic transmission, and a 48% improvement in aero efficiency. And they took 7,100 pounds out of the tractor-trailer combination. So less weight, more aero, more efficient drivetrain. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I do think we will be seeing these. Don't you?
Oh, I absolutely, and I bet it's not really significantly more expensive than a standard Kenworth big rig, which, by the way, is not cheap. I would think, I don't know what they cost, but I'm sure they're a couple $100,000.
Yeah, they're a couple of $100,000 in the standard rig with a sleeper and, all the stuff. Of course, you got to be able to add chrome to the exterior of this, and you got to put the CB antennas on the outside, right?
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
And what they call the chicken lights, all those extra lights. So
yeah, I just think this is very impressive. I think that they've started a trend here.
Yeah, I mean it's a prototype, a concept.
Yep. But this reminds me of Ford's turbine truck in the early '60s.
Big Red, it was called.
Big Red, and it was very aerodynamic, turbine engine powered, like the Chrysler turbine car.
Not very efficient.
No, but
sounded cool.
It looked cool, and it sounded well. I never heard one, but
yeah. Do they have to get approval for those side view mirrors, or is that
Well, they probably already have it because NHTSA has been working on official approval of those things for several years now. They want it.
Yeah. And because let's face it, that's like having two big pieces of wood on the side of the vehicle and can hold you back. So
That's right. They haven't issued an NPRM yet, Notice of Proposed Rulemaking,
okay.
but it's coming soon.
Yeah. Another interesting fallout of kind of the pushback on electric vehicles right now. VinFast. You and I talked about this manufacturer a little bit.
Yep.
Vietnamese manufacturer, all electric vehicles. They started out in 2017 and had big plans for North Carolina's Chatham County. They broke ground last July, but they're talking about a $4 billion plant, but looks like that's on hold. They sold fewer than 1,000 cars in North America last year, and they're putting their plant on hold. A $4 billion plant, and they sold fewer globally, 35,000 cars globally last year. They sold. So that seems to be putting the cart before the horse a little bit, doesn't it? Building that big.
Well, yeah, but you do have to have the factory, and I hope they make it. I just I think their plans are good, but and I've said it many times. I just can't imagine why anybody would want to go into the car manufacturing industry.
Yeah.
Because it's so expensive.
So expensive. And you look at, you think about this startup, and they're talking about building plants in Indonesia and another one in India. Who could knock them out of the box right away is like BYD or some of the other Chinese manufacturers, and just say, oh, well, you're selling it for $40,000. I can sell it for $8,000.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So, but we'll have to see what happens with VinFast. I don't know. Will they survive? Haven't heard much about Fisker other than there's a lot of these unsold cars somewhere, and that I don't know who will buy that or what will happen, but
I really do. You and I have both experienced Fiskers in the past, and they're fine cars. I hope he could hang on. I don't think so, but I hope so.
Yeah. Exactly. So we'll see. I mean, history repeats itself. Remember, at the turn of the century, there were like 80 manufacturers, most of them electric vehicle manufacturers, and then they all went away, or most of them, right? The vast majority of them.
That's right.
Funny how history repeats itself, isn't it? And on that note, we will say thank you for listening to Cruise Control Radio. Time for me to say I'm Fred Staub.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you down the road. And don't forget to check us out on all our social media platforms, on YouTube, on X, and Instagram, and more. We'll see you down the road.
Yep. Bye.